take it. So I stayed under there, and oh my God, it was so chilled. I feel like I've had a holiday. Um, I was even cleaning my bike and pumping up the tires. I can't remember the last time I had time for some or made time for something like that. It just feels like a thing I used to do as a kid, like something my dad showed me to how to clean the bike between the spokes and stuff like that. You know, Patrick's fed up of listening to me. He's already phoning in. Ah, morning, Patrick.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Just
Yeah.
listening to you now talking about the weekend you had. Mine's been a little bit different because we one of our sons tested positive on Thursday evening, and then
Oh,
another one tested positive, as in he felt some symptoms, and he tested positive a few days later.
yeah.
We're in there's some confusion over how long we lock into, but basically lockdown for. But we're basically until midnight on. We're in isolation still, and we break up from school on Friday. So missing this final
Mm.
week of school is, I must be honest,
Oh,
I was riddled with self pity on Thursday evening and Friday, and guilt for leaving colleagues in the lurch and so on. And again,
yeah.
it's just my own, wherever that comes from, whether it's through the imposter syndrome and not like want to let people down, or whatever it is, I don't know. But again, soon came to grips with that and got back to my positivity. And the staff at school are amazing and are doing what they need to do. But it just feels a little bit of a shame that we've walked shoulder to shoulder all the way through
Yeah.
pandemic, and I've not had to, because we've been part of this clinical trial, I've not had to isolate at all during the
Yeah.
period of time, because we've been able to do the testing that Boris has now said no to. We were able to do, so I was able to go into school and
Mm.
do my job, and the kids were able to be in and so on. So it just feels I've fallen at the final hurdle. But that being said,
Yeah. Yeah.
all is good, and still plenty to do.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it must feel gutting and a bit unfinished.
Yeah, again, we'll get things finished, and
Mm.
I'll be leading the staff briefing this morning. I've sort of 157 staff in school, and we all join that online briefing every Monday morning, every Wednesday morning for 10,
Yeah.
15 minutes. So that's quite affirming in lots of ways, and
Yeah.
looking forward to joining that this morning and reconnecting with colleagues in school, and
Yeah.
a variety of other meetings, because in this world we live in now, we can be as connected
Well,
through
yeah.
through Zoom and Teams and all
Yeah.
those sort of things, and the work doesn't go away. There are still plenty of
Mm.
things to do to get us. So people still need pain during the holidays, so that bit needs
Yeah.
sorting. People still need, there's still some squabbles to sort out. There's still some parents to speak to, and that sort of thing. And I can carry on
Yeah.
doing that from remotely.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
here to
Brilliant.
talk Teacher Five a Day this morning. Is that right?
Yes, Teacher Five a Day. Now you have, I think you put a tweet out yesterday about having 5 decades of teaching and leading experience.
Yeah, well, it was just a reflection really, because I realised that I left school in 1981, and it only came to realisation that was sort of 40 years ago, and
Mm.
then started my initial teacher training 38 years ago. Ex-pupils, my oldest ex-pupils are all turning 51 this year. In
Mm.
fact, 52 if you count sort of September onwards. So that's what they are. So 52 is next academic year coming up. They'll be. And I've one more year of full time work before I decide to hang up my boots. So I will be retiring from full time work end of
Yeah.
next year. So just a bit of reflecting going on, but that
Mm.
spans sort of the 80s, 90s, noughties, whatever you call the tens and the 20s,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was just a bit of reflection really, and that's
Yeah.
in terms of Teacher Five a Day. Part of me just reflecting and noticing and being mindful of the time spent and on a roller coaster journey, which I've absolutely loved, for the
Yeah.
highs and the lows. I've had a wonderful life in teaching, really.
Mm. Yeah. Um, okay, Teacher Five a Day. What is it and is it needed?
Um, well, I feel a bit of a fraud talking about it, because it wasn't my baby to begin with. I am a self-confessed Teacher Five a Day well-being supermodel in terms of my, and I think I've talked about it on the show with you before.
Yeah.
It's how I choose to live and portray the role, as in showing my authentic self, and my life. So I didn't take a picture of my poached eggs and coffee this morning because I was wolfing them down before I came on here. Or me hanging the washing up outside that was washed last night and getting that sorted. And just 2 minutes before coming on air, at the same time my eggs were ready, the Iceland delivery arriving because I couldn't. I've got a Tesco's one arriving later today, but an Iceland one this morning. They say between 6:36 and 7:36 it will be arriving. When it arrives, 2 minutes to 7. All those things that go on in life that everybody deals with
Yeah.
five kids. My kids are a bit older now, but I have 3 of them living at home. 2 are,
Yeah.
as I have tested positive, 2 grown-up sons who one's just home from university, just about to start his teacher training. The other one has left university a couple of years ago now, but works his office is from home, and another one doing his A-levels at the moment. So all
Yeah.
those sort of things of a parent carry on, and a full-time job as a head teacher, and elderly parents who I'm increasingly doing things for. Those
Mm.
things can become really quite overwhelming. So actually,
Yeah.
the Teacher 5 a day, and I will explain what it is in a minute, but the Teacher 5 a day for me helps me keep um, mentally healthy, really mentally fit,
Mm.
mentally agile. Helps me touch all those aspects of my mental health and well-being that keep me in a positive shape. And I say on the first day when I started my schools as a head teacher, I do move around to different schools to support different schools as a head.
Mm.
I always show the same slide, which is Mel, who's my wife, and our 5 boys, and a quote written on there that I sort of just devised myself that says, "Look after yourself first before helping others, so we make the biggest difference for the
Mm.
children." And that's really basically that oxygen mask principle, putting your
Yeah.
own oxygen mask on first before helping others. And Teacher 5 a day helps me do that.
Yeah.
So it is needed, in my opinion. It's needed for
Yeah.
all of us. And in fact, you don't just put your oxygen mask on when you need it. I'll tweet out 365 days a year, an extra one on a leap year, obviously, at least that many times. Really just help me keep my mask in place. So when times are good, I know where it is. I'm well drilled. So when I do need it, my bucket is full of well-being, or whatever phrase you want to use. You can mix all sorts of metaphors here if you want, but
Yeah.
I'm in a good place to be able to deal with the issues and crises when they come along.
Yeah.
So Teacher 5 a day, it was born out of the 5 ways of well-being, a piece of research from the NHS back in about 2011, 12, I believe. It was
Mm.
introduced to me first of all by a guy I met through Twitter, who I sort of called Martin Rea, who really I describe as the godfather of Teacher 5 a day. It was
Mm.
his baby in terms of bringing those 5 ways to well-being to the teaching profession and capturing that idea of the 5 ways of well-being in terms of teaching. And the 5 ways are quite simply exercise. If we get enough exercise, or a bit of exercise each day, or those 10,000 steps, or whatever it is you choose to do for your exercise, that keeps us not only physically fit, but mentally helps us keep fit and prepared. We've
Mm.
then got a big one for me, and that is about staying connected. Isolation is one of the big reasons why people become depressed,
Mm.
and become detached from everything else going on in the world, and a big cause of issues around mental health, particularly older people, elderly who've lost a partner maybe, and then kids have stopped visiting and they become isolated, or
Mm.
children at school who will increasingly lock themselves in the bedroom when something's gone wrong and not share with others, and become increasingly disconnected and isolated, etc. So,
Mm.
and adults in the same way, when things are not going particularly well, we quite often bury our head in the sand, or hide in our offices and shuffle pieces of paper around, or don't share, and become detached. So that connectedness is really important. Uh, the third one is to notice, being mindful of the things that go on around us. Just
Mm.
me reflecting yesterday on my career in teaching gave me a nice warm fuzzy feeling, and a chance to reflect and have some memories. And I'm a big believer in making memories and creating memories, and just sort of enjoying those moments when you can, even remembering those small moments and capturing those small moments to remember.
Mm.
Um, Final couple. One is to learn, and when we learn new things, it helps us go. Again,
Mm.
you talk about old folks doing Sudoku to keep the minds going, etc. But for anybody to learn, it doesn't have to be a major thing. If you're doing a master's, great. If you're doing something else, great. But actually, if someone's listening this morning and finding out a little bit about Teacher 5 a day, a little bit of learning can help and support their mental
Mm.
health and well-being. And the final one, which is one that really does help feed me as well, is is this idea of helping others,
Mm.
volunteering. That's the fifth one in Teach You 5 a Day, is to volunteer, and that's to help other people. And actually, when we help others, it really does, again, feeds our own well-being. So this morning, I put a tweet out before I came on saying, looking forward to coming and chatting with you, Mel. And as part of
Mm.
that, I put hashtag Teach 5 a Day, hashtag connect, hashtag volunteer, hashtag learn. And the reason learn is that I tend to come on here, and when we chat, I'll learn something new as well, myself, either about myself or about something that you'll say, oh, I'll pick up on that. I like that idea, etc.
Mm.
So it's as simple as that, really. There's 5 ways to well-being, 5 simple words that if you do one or more of those a day, it'll help you keep in the right shape, and it helps me keep in check and check those key 5 bits that feed my own well-being.
Yeah. Yeah. So how can people get involved?
Well, it is. You don't have to be on Twitter to do it. So
Mm.
someone listening to here can just listen to what I've just said and just do it. Just pick and do that. I think our first thing I would do is somewhere I'd either write down those 5 words and make sure you remember what the 5 are for Teacher
Mm.
5 a Day. For me, I would just do hashtag Teacher 5 a Day for any tweet you do where there's any of those connections, and just share with the world what you're doing. So you were talking about doing your bike in the garden yesterday,
Mm.
uh, and reconnecting. You've got some memories there, so I'd say Teacher 5 a Day. Hashtag notice, because you're being mindful and remembering that period from behind. You may have learned a new skill in doing it, so that could have been a learn. It could have been you were doing it with a member of the family, and actually teaching some new skills, so volunteering, helping, or actually learning a new skill together. And just
Mm.
doing those things there just help you reflect on why we're doing what we're doing. We quite often are passengers in our life. So you'll see me every year. When the leaves are turning in autumn, I'll be getting ready for my. I'll be saying I've noticed the leaves, they turn in colours. I'm looking forward to. But I'll
Mm.
always do a tweet which will say at some point, high winds are forecast. The leaves have just turned to a beautiful colour. But this high wind's going to blow them all off. So I'll say, if you've not taken chance in the last fortnight to look up in the air, look up
Mm.
at trees, because it's gorgeous, and you'll miss
Yeah.
it. And the amount of people that say, I've just not seen it. I drive past those trees every morning. I've just not seen them. I've not noticed. We
Mm.
sometimes drive our cars and get to school and go, how did that
How did I
happen?
get there? Yeah.
Yeah, how did that happen? And,
Yeah.
and we can go through life like that. And in fact,
Mm.
you may have not seen this, a really naff film. They all of his films are naff, but I quite enjoy them sometimes. Is the Adam Sandler films, a film called Click. I don't know if you've seen it, where
Mm.
he has a remote control where he can click through the boring parts of his life to speed up his career progression. And he
Yeah.
clicks, and he starts by clicking and missing a meeting here, or his wife's nagging him over doing a chore, so he clicks through that, and he clicks through this, and suddenly finds out he's clicking and missing whole chunks of his children growing up.
Mm.
If we
Yeah.
don't, sometimes it's really, really difficult to prioritize those things. So what? It's not mission impossible, it's mission difficult, as
Mm.
in making those priorities. You wouldn't dream of starting a new term and not having your lessons planned, or at least for that first week, your scheme of learning, knowing what you're going to do. You wouldn't dream of it. Yet loads of people will be skidding into their 6-week holiday without really knowing the full plans or what they're going to do. Even if the plan is at a weekend, the plan
Mm.
is this weekend, there's no plan.
Yeah.
And we know what the plan
Yeah.
is. The plan is to actually have nothing. Otherwise, you can wander around going, feeling frustrated. I should be doing something. I should be doing something.
Mm.
Decided this morning I'm not doing anything until midday other than sitting in the garden, or I'm doing this, or what I'm going to do. Mel and I, over the weekend, Mel's a timetabler. She's an assistant head in her school, and she's
Mm.
right still in the middle of the timetable, and the school's becoming academized at the moment, so there's some changes to how that's operating. So the timetable she's still working on now, right up to the while. We don't break up till later this week.
Mm.
I said Friday for me. Um, so Mel's had to do some work this weekend, and she knew that could have been all consuming. She could have just got up and worked. So we actually got up Sunday morning, 6 a.m. I was putting the washing out and stuff again. I wasn't doing timetabling. But while Mel
Mm.
was starting her work, so she gets 2 or 3 hours work done before the sun was out. So we could actually then have what we described as a lazy breakfast outside in the sunshine, sat around the,
Yeah.
the table, and actually planning to do those nice bits. And particularly when things are tough, it's a real lifesaver. And
Yeah.
I'm not over exaggerating on that. It can be a lifesaver for people. And it's
Mm.
actually, in fact, Teacher 5 a Day. I support quite a few head teachers, um, in crisis. People quite often reach out if they're struggling for any reason. It's normally around fitting everything in and things becoming overwhelming. And the first thing we'll look at is time and how we use that time, and what do we need to prioritize and what do we need to put into our lives and what do we
Mm.
need to stop doing. And some very basic, simple things that are obvious, but people don't see it quite often. There's a great,
Mm.
I can't remember who said this now, so I'm actually stealing somebody's um, analogy that they use. So I feel a little bit guilty about that. I will share it because it's useful. And again, I had to go and check some facts out to see whether it's true or not, because it just sounded a little bit, when you read things on Facebook, you think, "Nah, that's not right. That's been said for a
Mm.
reason." But if you were to have a pan of boiling water, really, really scalding hot water, and I
Mm.
don't suggest you do this at home, kids, and you dropped a frog onto the water, the frog
Mm.
would instantly, as it hit the water, spread its legs. I've just done that with my hands, showing how it spread its legs, hit
Yeah.
the waterway, and leap from the water without letting its body go in the water. It would probably
Yeah.
scald its feet. It would do some damage, but it would survive. If you took the same frog and put it in a cold pan of water on a hob, put the hob, just on number one, and gently
Mm.
warm the water, then turned it to number two and just gently warmed it a little bit more, then to three, that frog would quite happily swim around, and boil to death
Mm.
and wouldn't come out. And actually, in terms of our own mental health and well-being, quite often we don't notice ourselves.
Yeah.
Any one of us can be in a position at school and suddenly Ofsted call and you have that that feeling. You can survive that
Mm.
because you'll
Mm.
react to it quickly. Or there could be a really serious issue. There's been a kid's fallen down in the yard and broken a leg. There's been those sort of things that can happen that can really test you in terms of where we are. And most people can cope with most things for a short period of time in terms of their own
Mm.
well-being. We can cope with crises. But when they're layering one on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, we know we're feeling stress, but we don't realise how bad. And
Yeah.
most people that lead to actual burnout are people that have gently boiled to a point of
Yeah.
breakdown. So
Mm.
I think looking out for others is the key part as well. And that's the point you were saying about look after yourself first. So do be aware before helping others. So it is
Mm.
before helping others, but you are helping others fundamentally. We are a caring profession. We are quite often a selfless profession. And I'm not saying don't help and serve others, but look after yourself first, so you're not
Mm.
self-sacrificing, so that
Yeah.
we can make the difference for them, and we can quite often notice the difference in others before they notice it in themselves. And in
Mm.
terms of first aid, we when I started where I am at the moment in West Orton last September, there were two people who were mental health first aiders. It was me
Mm.
and one other member of staff as I arrived. We've now got 26. We'll have another 26 this year, in the
That's
next year, in
amazing.
terms of doing those. And actually, all we're doing there is getting people that can actually notice the signs and can signpost services or to support. And actually, if you when you do a physical first aid course, one of the first things you learn is if you come up to something like a car accident, the first thing you've got to do is protect yourself. So
Mm.
there's someone who's got being knocked down, you don't run into the middle of the road. You you then look after the person on the road. Otherwise, you've suddenly got 300, 200 people in the road. Someone in what's around you as well, and actually supporting the people is exactly the same. To help others, you've got to be in a pretty good state yourself.
Yeah. 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 And I have to say the wake up call for me, apart from when I burnt out 15 years ago, was having children. Because I
Mm,
thought actually, if I carry on the way I was before I had children, then there's going to be nothing of me left for
yeah.
them. So I started cutting back on doing what I was doing, and also started using the principles of teaching 5 a day.
Mm,
So getting a hobby, making sure I just sat still for a bit.
mm,
And I think those kinds of things need to be planned in, don't
yeah.
they? Like plan to do nothing. I mean, because my other half the other week was saying, "Oh, let's have a barbecue, let's do this, let's do that," and I was like, "Why don't we just hang out?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
don't we just be with the kids and just us and pootle about?" And you just don't stop to smell the roses, I suppose.
No, it's
It's
true.
so
I think
yeah.
there's a phrase I use quite often on that is you. you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail.
Mm.
Because if you don't plan out what it is you're going to do, even if the plan is to have no plan. Now,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily stop doing things. When life is busy, I put more things in
Yeah.
quite often. So if I've got a busy work time, I make sure I've got a really busy social time or a busy whatever time is to get the balance in there. Because I'm proactive in terms of booking the nice things, so I know you look forward and look at your diary and see what you need to be able to put in. Of course, you
Mm.
cut something sometimes. The I often struggle to fit work into my life, um, and that's the right way around. Whereas quite often
Yeah.
people struggle to fit life into their work.
Mm. Yeah.
I think if anything goes, it should be the work, not the life. I work
Mm.
hard. Don't school gets good value for money out of me. Make sure, and I talk about it quite openly. I think that's difficult for sometimes for people to see a head teacher doing. Uh, if you one of my I say old deputies, she won't think we were saying old. One of my deputies from the past, a woman called Suzanne
Mm.
Money, went off to go and work internationally and has become a sort of a global superstar in terms of safeguarding and mental health. She's back in the UK
Mm.
doing work as well as the international stuff now. But she talks about creating a culture of care and has really good structures around those things. I use quite a lot of those principles as well. But
Mm.
the thing is, you are creating a culture of care, and to do that, the best way to alter behaviors of people within your organization, if you to model the behaviors you want to see.
Yeah.
If people see me not being the first car in the car park, not being the last car in the car park every day, of course I am sometimes the first car in the car park. I
Mm.
am the last car in the car park, because you also have to, and it's been a long, long parents' evening. One of you's got to be there to say good night and thank you to people. So you do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you've got to be there every time. So my staff know that every second Friday, who comes
Mm.
up for the weekend.
Yeah.
Now they know I do that. The only thing that will override that is if there's a safeguarding concern. But if not, I've got good people in school who'll pick up and do those times. And
Mm.
actually, they may do those every second Friday, but on the other ones, I'll stay later
Yeah.
in terms of modelling what you do. And actually, for me, looking out, in school for school improvement, it's not a soft option either. So, in terms of the things we do in school, um, I have high expectations, and this culture and mantra of high expectations of the students, of the staff, of ourselves, of each other, the no excuses, no exceptions, no child left behind, can be quite macho and toxic in some situations, but
Yeah.
not the antidote to that means if we have the same high expectations of ourselves, of each other, and
Yeah.
ourselves individually, around how we look after ourselves with no exceptions, no excuses. No one's allowed not to look after themselves, and if we see that,
Yeah.
we deal with that. If we're on the lookout for those things as well, we put those things in place, then that well-being nightmares, if you like. Because
Mm.
don't forget again, is that one person's well-being dream is another person's well-being. We're all going to walk up a mountain together. Half the staff will go, "Yeah, let's do it," and half the staff will go, "Oh God, what are we doing this for?"
Yeah.
And actually having the knitting club in the corner of the staff room, because those three members of staff want to do it, having some
Mm.
of the boot camp equipment in schools, so some staff can do that sort of thing, having the school choir resonates with you. That those things, all the
Mm.
different activities that people may choose to do, and actually not doing well-being to people,
Yeah.
but removing barriers and creating opportunities so people can see and own and solve their own well-being solutions to keep themselves happy. And that's the
Mm.
expectation is you must look after yourself, you must do that. Our own performance management is predicated on people looking after their own professional development and learning and well-being, and
Mm.
actually putting that really high on the agenda, and it's there. It allows us to keep fresh. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, everyone's on the knees at the moment,
Yeah.
because we are. It's been an amazing year. I mean, I don't tell anyone I'm saying this, Mel,
Oh, pff,
but
there's
don't
no
tell
one
anyone.
listening, so
Shh, shh. Yeah, but I've really enjoyed this year in a
Mm.
perverse sort of way, because I've always felt in that long career that I've been making a difference, and that's part of that
Mm.
feeling of satisfaction you get, is the moral purpose that drives to help level and close gaps and disadvantage, etc. But this year has been like no year before, where we've made a real difference. We've
Mm.
not only we've got computers and dongles and whatever else out to people, but we've got, we've shipped out sanitary products to families so mums and daughters can use them. We've even bought bunk beds for some families that have found themselves in a position of having to rehouse and in the pandemic and no social care there to look after them. We've some major things on top of the learning that we'd do. We've done this year, and those connections with people have been amazing. So in terms of the challenge of the year, it's been massive. Of course, I
Yeah.
don't want to relive this experience again. But I
Mm.
found it incredibly rewarding. Rewarding is probably better than enjoyable
Mm.
as a word to use, but incredibly
Yeah.
rewarding this year. And actually, my approach to Teach a Five a Day has allowed me to keep some perspective to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, a final word on Teach a Five a Day. Where can people find out more information? Um, what has made the greatest impact on you?
Well, I think if you're on Twitter, I'm going to make it. Not everybody is, I know, but I'll make an assumption that if people are on Twitter, then just put in the hashtag teacher, and then the number 5, and then a day, hashtag teacher 5 a day, and just have a look at some of the things people are saying and doing. It's not rocket science. You just say, you'll see, if you look at me, you'll see the food I put on every evening. You'll see, because cooking's part of my well-being. I hate heating food up, as in if I put pizza and chips in an oven, that's not I'd find that a real burdensome. I like creating things. I'm not a, people say you ought to go on Master Chef with that sort of cooking. I ain't that sort of chef. I like cooking food as I do. I'm more a ready, steady cook. In fact, Mel's done that before, where she's gone and got the in the supermarket the sell-by date stuff off, and she's bought all sorts of stuff and said, "Right, make what you can with that." And I
Yeah.
love that sort of. I love that sort of idea, learning and creating new
Yeah.
things. So that's one thing. You'll see me putting the pictures up of us going running. We love to travel. Most people that follow me on Twitter know about Hurricane. In fact, Hurricane
Yeah.
people follow me on Twitter. They don't follow me. They follow Hurricane, and I'm
Yeah.
incidental. Or people know that there's a different other story behind this. But the reason why I do a somersault at least once a year at some point in the world, and I put those things out as well. And it's just around me sharing and connecting, and that keeps me live. So I would say, look and see what people do for their Teach a Five a Day. Put on there what you want to share anyway, that what makes you happy in terms of where you are. It could just be the fact a lot of people seem to put up, I'm teetotal, so I'll be a Pepsi Max or a coffee.
Yeah.
A coffee I put up. But I see a whole range of gins getting posted on the Teach a Five a Day on all exotic big bowls, like fish tanks to me, of gin that people are having out in the sunshine and
Yeah.
gardens. Even in winter, in the snow, having the gin out there. So it seems to be universal. Start drinking
Yeah.
gin for Teach a Five a Day. There's an advert.
Yeah.
But just see what and put things out. If it helps you and supports you, that's fine. If you're not on Twitter and you listen to this, there are plenty of blogs that have been written around it and different people's experiences, and do that. If you want to try an experience at the moment, it's just finishing actually. Booker Youssef does a 21 days of July. So we've a couple of days left where every day there's a different Teach a Five a Day challenge around a theme, to take a photograph of your favourite flower that you find out on a walk, or take of you doing some exercise, those sorts of things. And around Christmas time, there's the winter advents that people do, where for the build up, instead of an advent calendar, a series of challenges that you do around those times, about volunteering, about learning, around exercising, etc. And some of those sorts of flagpole events that occur just help people stay connected and keep active. So it's a completely voluntary organisation. There's no real structure to it, other than join in and start chatting.
Yeah. Brilliant. We've already got one person saying they just checked out the hashtag on Twitter. Will definitely be joining in. So thank you,
Gorgeous.
Jenny. That's fantastic. Yeah. So thank you very much for coming in again, Patrick. Have a marvelous summer.
I will do when it comes out. Not till Friday I break up.
Not till Friday, but yeah.
But we will, and I'm in lockdown until I do break up, in isolation. But I will enjoy myself. You'll see my tweets if you want to see what I'm up to. But quite often, just final word before I go is, my wife often finds out what she's been doing at the weekend when she goes into work on the Monday morning, because people will say, "Oh, did you have a nice bike ride?" Or "That was a nice bike ride." And in fact, she's gone to a conference before where she's not known people, and people have sat down and gone, "Hi Mel, how are you doing?" And I like to. So that's one of the dangers of sharing your life publicly, or your husband sharing your life. So the photographs, I would say.
Brilliant. Thanks, Patrick. I'll speak to you soon.
Always a pleasure. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay, cheers. Bye.
This is Teachers Talk Radio, and this is Teachers Talk Radio News with Megan Goods.
This is your latest Teachers Talk Radio News. It's Freedom Day today, and with the end to coronavirus restrictions, many parents are expected to keep their children off school this week to avoid being pinged by the NHS Test and Trace app. More than 500,000 people were told to self-isolate by the app last week, in what has now become known as the pingdemic. The issue impacts those who have not yet finished school for the summer holidays, who risk missing out on planned excursions or staycations if they come into contact with a positive COVID case at school. Attendance has proven to be a huge issue this academic year already for a multitude of reasons. On the 8th of July, about 1 in 9 state school pupils did not attend class for COVID-related reasons, according to statistics from the Department for Education. Parents are being encouraged to continue to send students to school, despite the increasing risk of close contact. A poll from parenting forum Mumsnet has found that 54% of parents are unhappy with how GCSE and A-level grades have been awarded this year. The survey also revealed that 73% of parents believed the grading process of summer 2020, which consisted of a government algorithm and then U-turn, was also unfair. Only 7% of parents were happy with how the government has handled the assessment of GCSEs, A-levels and other qualifications. The participants were also asked to give Education Secretary Gavin Williamson a grade for his efforts this year. His results left a lot to be desired, with 41% awarding him a U and 20% awarding an E grade or below. A Department for Education spokesperson said, "It would not have been fair for exams to go ahead this summer due to the disruption to pupils' education, which is why those who know students best, their teachers, are determining grades and enabling young people to progress to their next stage of education or employment." The survey comes as students prepare to receive their exam results in the next few weeks. That was your latest Teachers Talk Radio News.
Creative Resources, made for teachers by teachers. At Creative Resources, we've been rethinking what a classroom can be. We've created a huge range of more than 2,500 original and exciting resources that span across more than 15 different subject areas. Whether you're looking for primary or secondary level resources, careers options, PSHE, arts or humanities, Creative Resources have the resources for you. We offer full curriculum packages and unique, challenging escape rooms themed on topics such as Shakespeare, Tudors, and fractions. We have quizzes, task cards, Tarsier puzzles, and lots more. Better still, more than 100 resources can be accessed for free. Just visit our website, www.cre8tiveresources.com. You can get 10% off any order you make on our website by using the discount code TTRadio. Creative Resources, made for teachers by teachers. Every teacher loves stationery, right? Imagine getting a selection of fun, beautiful and unique stationery items designed and selected especially for teachers, delivered through your door every month. You need to check out teacherslovestationery.club.
I'm always so excited when the box arrives. It's such a treat.
My Teachers Love Stationery Club box is just a little treat to myself every month.
It's always full of delightful and surprising items, including some really good quality stationery brands like Faber-Castell and Stabilo.
And because you never know what you're going to get, it makes it even more fun and special when you get it.
It feels really great to be supporting a family business that's run by real teachers. I can't help feeling like they just know what I'm going to enjoy using stationery-wise better than I do myself.
Visit teacherslovestationery.club and enter the code TTRadio when you buy your first stationery box to save £2 today. teacherslovestationery.club. Introducing the Leadership Masterclass series by Diana Osagi. Learn how to ditch your fears and develop your leadership confidence. How to deal with difficult colleagues. How to thrive when you lead in a challenging environment. And how to get colleagues to buy into your vision. Join Diana for her online leadership masterclasses starting on the 10th of July and running all the way through the summer. These sessions are the perfect way to prepare and refresh for the next academic year and beyond. Book your place at courageousleadership.co.uk/events now. The first 50 leaders to sign up get an additional free mini coaching session with Diana herself. Don't miss this. Courageous Leadership Masterclasses at courageousleadership.co.uk/events.
So we've been talking to Patrick Otley O'Connor, who's become a regular feature on my show. We've been talking about what is Teacher 5 a day. I mean, there are so many people on their knees right now, even those that probably ended term last Friday. And this week, I can't imagine what it's like for many of you going into work this week. You must be shattered. So how are you keeping going, and what are you going to do? And I suppose the key thing that comes out Teacher 5 a day is that it's important to plan doing nothing. Plan it in. And something I always used to say to trainees, plan in a night out. Plan in not marking that evening. Plan in a number of things. Because if you plan it in that on Wednesdays you're going to have date night, or you're going to see a friend, or catch up with somebody over Zoom who's the other side of the country. It's amazing that, because it's planned in, you'll get enough work done up to that point. You do your thing and then you get work. But just having that little break is really good. Somebody called Tickles is calling in. So we'll see that. I just pressed the button, but you've disappeared.